Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar, Get Your IT Team Back to What Matters. Our speaker today is Kyle Jacobson, Senior Territory Manager at LocknCharge. Please mute your lines if you haven't already throughout the presentation, but if you have any questions come up, you can send them directly to me over the chat, and my name is Savannah. We'll also have time for questions at the end. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kyle.
Thanks, Savannah, and thank you everybody for taking a few minutes out of your day today, and hopefully we can spark an idea and help improve a process for you at your district. So, what matters to IT professionals now? COSIN reports are talking about cybersecurity, protecting student data, and digital equity. Of course, LocknCharge isn't a premier player in these fields exactly. I think we can help on the periphery of some of these topics. But really what we want to do is help improve something that process now that can give you more time to work and focus towards these objectives. And the solution that we're kind of focusing around today is our FUYL Tower smart lockers and how that can assist. These are very versatile lockers. I think most people gravitate and think of them towards in this public charging manner, like a user-generated PIN, like you would a hotel safe, allowing your high schoolers a place to recharge their Chromebook throughout the day. But really, there's really a lot more that you can do with it. So whether that is, loaner devices, maybe that's a substitute coming in to the building that would need a device, being able to check out a very specific product, maybe that's a laptop for an esports program that is kind of differently than designated than their usual Chromebook, or a hotspot maybe, or helping with a break fix workflow, and that's really what we're going to focus on for a few minutes here. So I'm sure, I don't know if this is still too soon, but this I'm sure looks familiar for most of you too, right? The piling up of Chromebooks, and especially at the beginning of the year. And so, what is the stack of Chromebooks going to turn into? How do we manage it? How can we get them back into service in the most efficient time for you? Of course, a lot of Chromebooks and devices were deployed over the last couple of years. And I haven't heard of too many people getting more staff to help manage all of these devices, right? Weren't necessarily set up for all the remote support that you had to do, and some are continuing to do. So there's a lot going on in the K-12 IT world. So in one piece of this that we can help clean up and hopefully kind of gain time back for you is through like a help desk ticketing process. And how do you attach a FUYL Tower as a hardware deliverable in that process? So I'm sure most of you have some process set up for when a student has a damaged device, submitting a ticket possibly, or working through a librarian to assist them. But there's a way now that we can really connect with a ticketing system and choose a FUYL Tower locker to deliver a ready-to-go spare. Maybe that in this description here, the user is swapping their broken device for that spare device, and now really where that's going to help your IT staff too, especially if that maybe is across town. What's your drive time to get over there to repair that device? But we can get that student back in a learning situation faster with a loaner device, And maybe this happens a few times before your tech drives across town to collect those devices or to make repairs on those devices, and just being, a little bit more efficient in that time, instead of maybe right now, if you have a receiving a broken device, you kind of have to stop what you're doing to service that student or teacher maybe. And so the power behind the FUYL tower as a hardware system is our LocknCharge cloud. And this is really where the features and versatility come in and allow you to be a remote support help desk from a hardware sense as well. So within our cloud system, you can upload your users. You can manage multiple towers if you have multiple towers or multiple locations, even from a cloud-based portal. Of course, that means that you could be managing this from home, or just about anywhere you were. If you had to go to a conference, you could still easily log into our portal and manage a process to help someone get a device. And then we also do have API. So that can allow you to integrate into a few different systems and create a more tailored workflow for what you're looking to do. And so we can kind of dig into your specific needs in a different session. So I just want to kind of review some of these in some real customer stories. So in Arbor Park, Illinois, through last summer and last school year, especially, where curbside pickups were kind of a normal thing, they installed a FUYL tower. And really equated it to having a part-time team member do that, so they weren't always having to run outside. You could easily direct, reserve a bay for somebody, direct that, most times it's actually the parent, and how to retrieve that device, and no appointments are necessary. So I think that's kind of the thing that also makes this turnaround time a lot faster, is that we don't have to match up schedules, or for parents, they don't necessarily have to get out of work to come make this, to swap, as long as there's some way to access this tower kind of before or after hours. We also have some boarding schools where they had an issue where they wanted to, their students were using their devices too late at night. They wanted them to get rest and go to bed. And so they assigned their students a specific bay in their locker, so that they would be putting their devices away at the end of the evening before going to bed. This also can work for if you have any students with housing insecurity, that maybe it's not a good idea for them to be taking their Chromebook home, but they can still have the responsibility of managing a device in the self-service fashion. They have an assigned place that allows them, a secure place to charge their Chromebook and have it ready for school. In San Francisco, they actually used these FUYL towers as a part of their teacher onboarding process. So if they had new teachers, they would prepare their device, have it in a locker ready to go. And they said this actually helped them improve this delivery time by multiple days. And a lot of that is really just on scheduling. And there's so much else that their tech teams were consumed with doing, that this was just an easy way that they could kind of set it and forget it, put it in a locker, notify that teacher where to find it, how to access it, and have that process kind of be on its way, and kind of get back to something else, maybe more productive for them. And then here in Rhode Island, this is a new high school build, and so instead of installing a traditional locker, they installed FUYL towers, and so each student has an assigned locker bay. A lot of this revolved around students using their Chromebooks as lunch trays and kind of the damage associated in that lunch process. And so they're making it a requirement to go put your Chromebook away during lunch, get it recharged, and you not have to worry about those kind of accidental damages that might happen during a lunch period. And in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, also associated with that lunch period, but as an optional time to charge. So this is where it's the more traditional public charging, and they have 400 students in each of their lunch periods. And so they have 3 towers around their cafeteria here. And then it's just user-generated PIN codes. Students can self-service and get a recharge their device as they need. And lunch is, a good time to do that. So what makes a FUYL tower unique? So we've built it for an ease of in-field serviceability. This is our I don't know, 3rd or 4th iteration of this product over the years, and so we've taken those as learning steps in how we're building this model here. That web portal is pretty simple and intuitive to use. The versatility of what it can be used for, and we had customers that had it just for public charging initially, and when COVID hit, we kind of helped them pivot, and for those kind of other use cases that we've seen now, curbside pickups and those sorts of things. So it can kind of swing back and forth through different use cases pretty seamlessly. And fairly quick ROI when we're judging on time, right? The time that your tech team spends on this kind of repair process, especially. So we really want to help slow down a process of reevaluating technology all the time. So whether that's their FUYL towers or our other carts or charging stations, we're building product that is meant to be flexible and durable and last a lifetime. So that it's just one less thing that you need to reconsider every year, every few years, on what that classroom charging situation looks like, or what your kind of public charging or help desk charging scenario looks like as well. So this is where I can open it up to questions. I think that we had a few come through in the chat. And also what I want to do here is invite you, you can reach out to me if you want to learn more. I'm going to have a specialized presentation talking through a specific workflow that you're interested in. Please email me and I will connect you with the territory manager for your state or region, and can set up a future call for you at that time.
Thanks, Kyle. Yep, we did have a couple questions submitted. And the first one for you, Kyle, is you mentioned the time savings during the webinar. So how much time does the FUYL tower actually save?
Sure. I think, when we talk about Dave in Arbor Park, and thinking about that being kind of a half-time employee. So that's, where, kind of where I'm going to default to as far as the time savings. I've talked to other districts too right now because of kind of federal money and grants. In some cases, they have more money than time. And, that's where we're seeing, this sort of product installed. And so it kind of depends what your workload is, I suppose, but we're really talking about what a half-time employee is, and kind of considering that against that ROI too, and what that investment means for you. Comparing, a fuel tower versus what a tech might cost the district.
Great, thanks, Kyle. Another one we have is, can I integrate the FUYL tower with the Active Directory at my school?
Yeah, so we do have the ability to integrate to Active Directory as well as Google directory. So that, that can help kind of be a cleaner way to manage your users versus keeping a separate user database in our system.
Awesome. And another one here, Kyle, is, will the API be getting an update? I believe this says an update to create and delete users.
So I think that is something we've been talking about in that direct connection. We've had discussions with development. So I don't really have a clear answer on that one at this time, but Savannah, let's note the contact information from where that came so we can keep in touch with that person so we can.
Yep, of course.
Yeah. So I guess to add on that, right now we're seeing it as you're doing that through your directory instead of directly through API.
Okay, yep. And then a follow-up just comment they had, Kyle, is it would be great if the cloud portal would be able to limit users to certain towers.
Yeah, so you should be able to do that as it is. So whether you're assigning, it's how you assign your users, either at kind of the account level. You can also assign and authorize users at a tower level. And a way to do that easier you can make user groups so that all of the 8th graders are a user group. And we've talked about sometimes being by graduation year, maybe. And then they are kind of moved into the tower at the middle school, or then when they move on, you can move that user group then to the tower at the high school. So that's
I did mean admins. I mean, there's only a couple people on here. Can we just talk and ask questions and talk this out?
Yep, of course.
Because I think I recognize a couple people on here.
So you're talking about admins specifically, not student users?
Yeah, and AJ did reply about to my chat here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we use the towers quite a bit, and we're a school district. We use them for break fix, and all the things you described is kind of the way we use it. But one of the issues that we have is the interface doesn't really allow you to. Now maybe we're not using it the right way, but the way we use it is we assign a bay to a user, and the way we do that is by locking the bay to the user so the light turns white. So I wrote our interface to the API basically because we need to limit certain admins' access to certain towers was one of the problems. You also need a way to lock a certain user to a certain bay for a limited period of time. So then we assign the users to the bay turns white, and then when the user accesses the bay, it turns green again, and then there's no way to assign anymore. That's kind of our workflow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great, Andrew. This is AJ, by the way. Just jumping in there real quick. So yeah, we've definitely heard of that exact scenario before. So, and that's probably why you would like to be able to assign users directly rather than via the external directory services. Right.
And yeah, with the external directory service, I can't remember the details of that, but you have to store the PIN somewhere in Active Directory, right? And is it just Azure as well? It's not on-prem Active Directory, is that right?
Well, we decided to use secure LDAP for that. So you can actually use many different, as long as you can connect to it with secure LDAP, you can use any external source.
Okay. And how's the PIN work? You have to store that as an attribute?
Yep, exactly. And we do have mapping capabilities of the attributes. So you can choose what field you want to put what you want to store the pin in. And then you can, if you want to use RFID, you can map to that as well. And the other mapping attribute we have on there is the actual name of the user. So that way, if you didn't want to have the child's name in like our event log, you could have some other thing you can map it to if you wanted to.
I still kind of like having the flexibility of having the users mapped in your system, because I can just kind of create and delete users and put the pin there. One of the issues is we use the student number as the pin, and that's not public, right? I mean, we can't have that in a publicly accessible public meeting, like our other students can't access other students' user IDs, because that would be like a security risk.
Right.
So I kind of like having the flexibility of having it in your system, but I really love to have that as a piece of the API, which I already said, but and I've been asking for that for, I don't know, since we kind of onboarded the system.
Yep. We've got you're one of them, and I've got another guy who just got a couple towers, and he would like to do the same thing. It's interesting. He's doing a very similar kind of workflow that you are. And I mean, I would say your workflow is a little more unique than our average workflow, but it's a good workflow. So I'll bring that back as a story to our development team and add it to that. So we've already had some discussions around being able to add like a put and that type of thing to our user database. Okay,
great. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
But back just real quick though, we're actually about, I would say we're probably more than halfway through the ability of having more admin permissions and being able to assign admins to groups of towers and things like that. So that'll be soon.
Yeah, that'd be good, because like I said, I wrote my own interface to the API, but you know, there's some things that it'd be a lot easier if I just could use yours. So.
Yeah, for sure. And keep in contact. I mean, if there's other things that you need and stuff like that, let's at least get it in front of people so we can talk about it.
Yeah, if you can somehow ping me if that comes out, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point too, AJ. You know, we thank you for that feedback. We welcome it. We want to know what can make it better. And this isn't a product that's just is what it is. It's something that we're constantly working on software development on, and improving processes and making different connections. So, you know, whether it's a specific help desk software that you're trying to connect to, or some other idea that would make this a better product for you, we're here in partnership.
Well, everything that we do, I mean, from the beginning, we all thought this product has a ton of potential. Like, it really, you know, it's a really cool product. Just the management needs more evolution, and sure. all of our user flows are automated. So, you know, when users come in, they all flow into our systems. And this is the kind of like one of the only systems I had to really take apart to get users in and out of. So yeah, okay, that'd be great. That's the third time I asked for it, so I'll stop asking for it
now. We appreciate it, Andrew. Quick question for you: Do you use a help desk ticketing software? Or did you build your own, or what do you do for that?
We use Web Help Desk, which is now owned by SolarWinds, but we really don't. We do kind of use it for that purpose, but really I wouldn't really want to integrate it. I mean, that's not really something I'm looking for.
Sure.
I'm happy for my techs to assign a bay, you know, and kind of work through the system that way. I don't think it would be like an automated thing for us. I can see where some schools with Chromebooks maybe that would be something they would want. And there's probably schools on here. I should probably shut up and let them talk. But for us, because we have Macs and iPads, it kind of had to be like prepared first before a user gets them. So yeah, I think for us, we just let a tech assign the locker and kind of do it that way.
No, that's good advice. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Good. Savannah, were there any other questions that came through?
Yeah, we have one more, but I'll open it up to the group now.
Yeah.
So if anyone else has any questions that they'd like to bring up to Kyle or AJ, and thanks, Andrew, for bringing that one up as well too.
And what's everybody else doing? Are you guys all similar, like break fix kind of stuff? Are you guys all public schools, or I'm kind of interested to see who's even on this call?
I think it is, we're mostly public K-12 schools in the US that had joined, possibly a couple from Canada as well. I think some are current users, some aren't current users. So there's definitely a mix of people on the call.
Yep.
Anyone else want to kind of
And-
speak for themselves, I guess?
Yep, Kyle, we had one more in the chat. So it says, as far as charging solutions, do you have anything for individual classrooms?
Yeah, we have a lot of things for individual classrooms. Not in this FUYL tower sense of individual doors, but for individual classrooms, we have a few different cart models. We have, a few different wall station models. So, most things are fairly universal. We have some things that are very either specific to maybe an iPad. We have some docking solutions now that are specific to a Dell 3100 Chromebook. So there really is a variety of product when we talk about a classroom and the variety of needs that you could have in a classroom.
Great, thanks, Kyle. And any other questions from the group? All right, then I'll wrap it up with this last question, Kyle. Do you offer demos of the cloud software? And what does that demo process look like?
Yeah, so that's something that we'll make sure that you're connected with your territory manager through that process. But first we can do something personalized like this from our showroom in Madison, Wisconsin, or Austin, Texas, and walk through how this can be valuable for you. And then if you want to do a proof of concept, we can also send out the smaller 5-bay, and so that you can kind of give that a test drive and see how that might integrate into workflow or kind of test it at a site to see how it goes for you. So those are definitely things that we can offer before jumping in.
Great, thanks, Kyle. And thanks, AJ, as well, for jumping in to answer a couple of those questions. And we will be sending out an email with the link to this webinar recording. So feel free to share that with any of your colleagues or hop back on to watch this again. And thanks to everyone for joining, and have a great afternoon.